Two.
Welcome back to 755 is Real. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer for The Athletic. And we don't have our Tops thing, man. Are we not sponsored by Tops anymore? Did we lose them when MLB cut them out?
You always seem to forget to announce that they're the presenting sponsor. I'll have to deal with it later.
Well, I was going to read it. It's not there.
That's a first. That's a first that you were going to intend to read it. Wow.
So he's covering up the fact that he screwed up and didn't put it on there. So he's passing it on to me saying, that's good, man. That's a good strategy, Cam. Yeah. You were just planning on me forgetting to, so you just what the hell? I don't.
My mic's cutting out. It's not working anymore. I can't say anything. You better get to the show.
Right, Tops. Well, we're presented by Tops. We still love Tops, even if MLB dropped them. Jesus, man, why'd they do that? Anyway, Fanatics is going to own the world. We have a special guest here today. You guys love him. He's been on here before, and it's appropriate. We got good timing. We did not plan on getting Kelly just because the Braves were re-signing Travis d'Arnaud, but literally a half hour before the show starts, they signed Travis d'Arnaud, and Kelly knows Travis d'Arnaud quite well. Played with him with the Mets, right, Kelly?
That's it. Yeah, 2 years with him up there. Shared a floor. Got to see him coming out of the place at like 1 p.m. when I'm already up grinding with kids. Vastly different lifestyles.
A condo together.
Yeah, same floor, but he's he's got his own little ones now, so he knows he's at that veteran status now, a well-paid veteran.
And he's in a perfect place, isn't he? I mean, not that he wouldn't have fit with the Mets if he'd have been there, because he was always hurt up there. He always hit when he was healthy, but he seems like his personality fits great here with Atlanta, with this team, with this market.
I think so. I think it's been a good match. Absolutely.
And for the Braves, I mean, this is a great deal for both sides, because Travis is a guy that's been hurt a lot, bounced around for a year before he came here. The Mets traded him to the Dodgers, then he went to the Rays and really hit with the Rays in the free agent year. It was good timing. So the Braves signed him to a deal that turned out to be really team friendly, a 2-year deal. And he won a Silver Slugger award last year, and now he's 32. And I'm sure he wanted that security in a place he's real comfortable with. Sal Fasano, who was his minor league manager back in the day. He's the catching coach here, and he's real comfortable with the pitchers here. And the Braves love having him because he's obviously a good player. I mean, he can play 4 or 5 games a week at least. And he got rakes when he's healthy, which he's healthy again now after missing 3 months. But I think most important in this whole thing is they have 2 catching prospects coming up. We saw William Contreras this year, not quite ready, but really talented like his brother. But Shea Langeliers, I think, is the catcher of the future here. And he's in Double-A now, just raking. Guy with the gold glove. Cannon for an arm, and he's had like 4 multi-homer games in Double-A this year. So Baylor got first rounder from Baylor a couple years ago. So I think this allows them not to rush him. Perfect situation where Travis signs a 2-year deal, only $8 million a year, and then an $8 million option with no buyout, which shows me how much he wanted to stay here. No buyout.
Yeah. No, and you know what? To add on to my relationship with him, actually, when I was with the Blue Jays, I went to spring training 2012. Travis was one of the top prospects in the game.
Yeah.
What I would hear about him, he was at camp a little bit, but was that he raked. He was just a natural hitter. Now, just for some context, talking about some of our prospects, prospect lists are littered with guys, right, that can't miss, and they either do miss or they take some time to really blossom and become what they're projected to be. Travis falls into that category.
Yeah.
So, catchers, there's a lot on their plate. Travis obviously had a lot to learn defensively before really making his impact. And then, I remember just being with the Mets, just Mets fans and media waiting for that potential, that offensive potential that he flashed, several times, but he'd get hurt or, get a little streaky or whatnot. But he's a great dude, super even keel, as not going to get real high or low, happy, good, like just a happy dude. Guy. So, and he rakes and always been able to hit a little bit. So for the Braves, I mean, you're getting something, what you're going to get. Now you just got to find some people to kind of supplement there, keep him healthy.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ride him like we could, McCann and, some of those guys that could play almost every day. But you don't need to if you can just put into somebody else that can, carry the load for a minute. Right?
Yeah. The year you were talking about Toronto, he was a player of the year in what Eastern League, I think, when he was in AA. That was the year that Fasano managed him, and he was like a top 10 prospect in baseball, top 20.
And that's when he got included in that Dickey trade with Syndergaard, and the Mets. Looked like the Mets basically fleeced him. RA being about 37. Of course, he went on to play way longer, but pretty good deal for the Mets. I would say that was one of those that put the Mets, into that World Series, was the players on that one.
He, you're talking about him raking. He's got the kind of easy swing to me. It reminded me kind of you, actually. He doesn't have anything violent in his swing. It's more of a natural hitter, surprising pop, because it doesn't look like he's swinging hard. Yeah. And he hits the ball. He drives the other ball to the opposite field corner with just ease, just flicks it over there. Which, if you look at him, he's not a huge guy or anything. It's not. You don't look at him and you don't think he'd have that kind of pop, but he does.
No, and the hitting coach in Tampa, Chad Mottola, was a guy that was with the Blue Jays when I was there with him. Minors. Yeah, and Chad used to talk about Travis, just how natural he was. He was kind of a guy that would show up and he'd have a different batting stance like every other day, and it was guys like that can find a way to get hits and tinker. They're just natural. They're just natural hitters. So, I think Travis probably becoming a little more comfortable in the game, probably found something and found a routine and has gotten more consistent. And as that's become more consistent, he's getting the results. But his power's, always been that oppo kind of right center, right fieldish power. When he doesn't try to pull, which he doesn't, that's when he's really good.
Yeah, he comes back from a thumb ligament, which you wonder how he's going to be when he comes back from this in 3 months. And he looks exactly like he did before he got hurt. But Chad Mottola, he credited him with getting his swing back when he went to Tampa, because Chad's there now. And
great. And little known, Chad was drafted before Derek Jeter.
Okay, and also little known, I was sitting at Chad Mottola's house when he got drafted. Fort Lauderdale. I was working at the Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel. Covering a variety of sports at the time.
I couldn't even sneak that one in by you. You already knew.
They assigned me to this guy that was going to be a first round pick. I'm Chad Mottola. So I went to his house, waited for the call. Yep.
That
was a while ago. Small world, huh?
Great dude. Reds might want that one, have wanted that one back for a while.
Yeah.
But, that's pretty funny. I mean, it's especially back then, you just don't know, you kind of know. I think they've got it down a little better these days.
It's still like half the first rounders don't pan out to be what they think they're going to be. It seems like it to me. I mean,
now that I got kids and we're getting a little older, it's hard to imagine how you can look at a kid, meet a kid, his family, and really know from the mental side if they're up for that. Because that was I remember questions from the scout that signed me. I'm out of high school and he's asking me if I have a girlfriend, and that was a big question, because guys that are already kind of trending into that relationship and wanting to prioritize someone else, it's hard to do that. And just mentally going from being just a good athlete that only kind of have to do it 3 or 4 days a week as a high school, so all of a sudden it's every day, you're away from home, it's hot, and you're failing way more than you've ever failed. So, I mean, it's, I don't know. I've got some great stories on some guys that I got drafted with that, you just look at it, you're like, if they just get out of their own way, but it's just, you can't predict it.
And Scott asked you that question and you're going, okay, in your mind, you're going, what's the correct answer here? So I say, I don't have a girlfriend, that I've had one for 10 years.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. There's guys though, that they made it work. I mean, Adam LaRoche, he was married at 19, 20 with 2 kids by the time he was 22. And
Frenchie was very awful young too.
And A-ball, well, he was in the big leagues. So Adam was in A-ball and did not get drafted high. It was not a bonus baby. Obviously, if Roche is just his dad playing in the big leagues and having that confidence. I mean, he's on a different level, but guys that made that work. I mean, I just reading a great article on Sports Illustrated about Snit.
Yeah.
Did you read that?
Yeah, that's good.
So
yeah.
How you do that? It's tough.
Well, since the last time we talked, you were among those that was convinced that the Braves could get going at any time. You had no doubts that Freddie was going to hit and all this. Well, it's all come to pass, and it's come to fruition for the Braves. They've won 13 out of 15 games, including a season high 6 in a row right now. Now they go to Baltimore, which I think has lost 14 or 15 in a row. I mean, they're easily the worst team in baseball now that the Diamondbacks just swept the Mets, which astounded me.
No,
but
the Phillies.
So now you go up to Baltimore, having won 13 out of 15. You've built a 4-game lead in the East over the Phillies. And the Braves are in a good spot, man. And it's a good thing they're making hay now, because they have this soft stretch of their schedule that they're making the most of before they play the Yankees, and they go out west. They got to play at San Diego, at LA, and at the Giants, all in the last 5 weeks of the season. So it's going to get tough in a hurry. So it's nice to build that cushion right now. And they need to take advantage of it this weekend against Baltimore too.
No doubt. Yeah, no, I was just looking at the schedules and the standings, and looking at the Mets schedules, looking at the Phillies. Phillies got swept by the D-backs, not the Mets, but the Braves have an interesting schedule. You know, they got the soft August that they dominated, and still, you know, hopefully that continues and we finish out with, you know, like you said, if you ask me, I would say the August is the most crucial time to get hot, and they did.
Yeah.
They did it at the perfect time, because now you're not. Yeah, and you get to roll in, and honestly, 500 ball in September when you've got a lead is more than enough, you know.
Yeah.
And so they do have their schedule does get easier later.
Yeah.
They do have to run a gauntlet of some teams here.
It's just those West Coast trips, but they also go to Colorado and Arizona, which notwithstanding Arizona's sweep, but funny thing is, everybody said Phillies had the softest schedule in all of baseball, but you've got to win the game, so you to take advantage of that, or it becomes unimportant if you don't win them.
Yep.
But
no, it's the Braves put themselves in a phenomenal spot, and they're going to only get better, I think, now that they've got this momentum. This offense is finally, you know, doing what they're capable of. And you can't overstate just Adam Duvall lengthening out this lineup.
Yeah. And Soler too, what he's done.
He's done well. Yeah, he has.
To help lengthen it, but Duvall's been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's just one of those, you just another, you know, add him in there, and what that does to the lineup. And that's the Braves lineups that we've seen in the past few years.
Yeah.
And deep.
Yep. Yeah. And then the first half, there were stretches there where you looked in the bottom half of the lineup after you got past 5 was like, out with the pitcher there, you know. It was like, whoa. Yeah.
Well, the numbers,
fringe guys, minor league, 4A type players there.
The numbers still say that the Braves are top heavy. I mean, but the fact that Soler and Duvall haven't been there, so their numbers aren't in that mix.
And Peterson too,
so Jock, and so it's they're in a great spot.
Peterson Heredia platoon has actually worked really well. I mean, Heredia's hit against lefties, man. That guy's you know. He's shown me some against lefties, but and the pitching, obviously, everybody wanted to shit on the bullpen, and they were pretty bad for much of the year, but they've been solid for about a month and a half now. And notwithstanding the 6-run inning, the 9th inning the other night, the numbers have been really good, other than Tomlin's had a couple of bad outings recently, but you know, they're not going to need him in the postseason. You know, they're not going to need him in close games. But guys, Matzek's been phenomenal. Rich Rodriguez, since he came over, has given up 1 run in 10 appearances. He's been really good. And then some other guys are pitching really well as well, like Luke Jackson.
Yeah. No, Rodriguez, that was a quality pickup. Needed that big time. You know, they needed Shane Green to be better, and getting Rodriguez really.
He's done what they hoped Shane Green would do.
Yeah.
If not better. So they fit. The Braves have won 9 out of their last 10. Everybody else in the division is under 500 in their last 10. I know it's a micro sample, but that just tells you the trend where teams are headed right now. The Braves have hit a modest 250 during this 13-2 stretch, but they got an 808 OPS in that stretch. But they've got, I think, the big numbers that stand out: 346 OBP, 28 homers in that stretch, basically double their opponent's home run total in that period. And they've got multiple homers in 9 of those 15 games. They got 72 walks in that 15-game stretch. And that's a lot of bases loaded walks too. So they got some patient professional hitters in there that are not trying to do too much right now.
Yeah. Well, I would say, you know, on the surface there, you know, the home runs, probably going to like dip a little.
Yeah.
Walks don't tend to slump. You know, I think guys, as long as they continue to have the same approach, That's going to be a calling card for their lineup, and I think that's not going away. So as long as we can still get after the starters and get those pitch counts and get into the bullpen quicker against these teams, it should be, they really in a great spot. But the playoffs is going to be different. The talent they're going to go against, we'll have to see. You just have to hope they get super hot and the pitching rises. But from the position of where they're at now with the rest of the season, I mean, it's really where you need to be, and it's just been crazy. It's been crazy to watch those last 2 weeks of what they've been doing and the moves that they've made in that division. Talking about Snit being that calming, just consistent. That's crucial. And then obviously, having Freddie being Freddie again is I mean, he's exceeded what I thought. I didn't know that he could get back to being a league leader and a lot of
an MVP candidate again.
I thought, I mean, come on, didn't know that he could get from where he was to where he is that quickly.
And how about Austin Riley and Dansby Swanson, man, has gone from being a guy that wasn't quite as good as maybe we thought he was going to be to the last month exceeding that at playing outside of Tatis, who's moved to the outfield recently. Dansby's been the most impactful shortstop in the league for the last month plus. He's been terrific. And Riley's having a breakout year.
Both of those guys have really exceeded kind of my expectations. And I mean, that's awesome to see, because they're at that especially Dansby's at that point in his career where you want to see that jump, and gosh, that's all. I mean, it's just been fun. I mean, that's the team that we watched the last several years. Fun. It's a lot going on. Smiles, celebrations. Freddie 31 hitting for the cycle, that triple. I mean, he was moving. And so
he can run, man.
It's sneaky.
He can run. Long levers.
This is the lineup and the length of it, the team. This is kind of what we're familiar with. So it's been great.
And Ozzie keeps doing what he's doing. He gets so overshadowed because on a team with Acuna, he's not the most dynamic, kind of flamboyant player. And then on a team, with Riley having a breakout season and Freddie doing what he did, Ozzie's just easy to overlook, but he just keeps doing what he does. And Ozzie is one of the premier second basemen in baseball.
No, it's probably a good spot for him. Let him be that guy. I like him there. No, let's not try to have him put the team on his back in the way of what we think of we do with Freddie. Let everyone else help. But it's losing Acuna and you're looking up at this point in the season
doing
what they're doing
without him. That's amazing.
He
did. Alex did a hell of a job rebuilding the outfield and adding the pieces that he did he didn't get the A+ at the trade deadline, but weeks later he's getting those A's because the guys that he got are fitting together and all contributing.
Well, listen, he was in LA with with Freeman, who I had in Tampa, and there's nobody. He does it a different way. The dude is deliberate. He moves slow. He doesn't want to make any rash decisions. But the goal for the Dodgers with all that money and what it's always been since he took over there is, it's not so much payroll, talking about adding, the big superstars, kind of the way the Yankees always did it. They want their 25th and their 26th all the way through their 35th player on the roster to be better than your 25th,
depth,
35th player, so that when you get these long seasons or that you get into a situation with the outfield, look at our outfield going from Ender and Ciarte, Acuna gets hurt, and you're rolling out Heredia and Almonte, those three, versus now you got Jock Peterson, you got Soler, Duvall, then you can sprinkle in Heredia and the other guys. I mean, that's good. That's the depth, and that's what you're trying to do is you're trying to beat the other team's depth, and that's what the Dodgers do better than anybody. And Alex was there. He probably has learned a few things over there and came out here, and that's kind of where we're at. I mean, the bullpen, it's all more deep than we've seen. So that's a testament to them and how they're doing these things.
Before they gave up the 9 runs in the last game against Miami, including 6 in that 9th inning off Tomlin, and they didn't expect to pitch that night, Will Smith. The Braves had a 3.14 ERA over the previous 16 games. So this pitching staff's getting it done too. They have right now, they have 3 of the top 7 NL home run leaders when you count Duvall. Duvall 27, Freddie 27. They're tied for 3rd with Votto. Riley has 26. He's tied with Pete Alonso. Acuna is still tied for 10th with 24. He's tied with Dansby and 4 others. Yeah. So that's 5 Braves, 4 of them active in the top 15. And then you got Albies with 8. He's tied with 8 for 18th with Bryce Harper and Jesus Aguilar. So, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of guys that can hit for pop, man. And you're not even talking about Darno, who would be up there too if he'd had played the whole year probably.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I'll talk about it again. You know, I've been on before and talked about the Mets team that I was on. We lived by this home run, and it's great when it's rolling. Now, you do need to find some other ways to stop them from scoring and score. But I do think the Braves can do that. I think we got it. That's what I was talking about with the walks, drawing walks, getting into counts where you got to battle and maybe put the ball in play. That's where I think,
especially postseason.
That's where I think I want to see this team win games that way. And you know, every time that we do it, Francoeur and Chip and whoever's doing the games point it out and make us point to, like, you know, that's what we want to see. Moving a guy over, getting a guy in, because the home runs do go away.
Especially in the postseason. It's tough to hit them off top pitchers.
Yeah. And when you get them, it's great, but you got to find a way to grind through at bats and, you know, put the ball in play hard. So the fact that they're leading and doing so well with the drawing, the pitches and the walks, I mean, they're in a good spot. They're in a great spot. I mean, you know, it's
Austin Riley has been pretty hot for since the 3rd week of the season. He had no extra base hits in his first 15 games. And we were asking him, I know Snit was asked by another media member, how long do you stay patient with Riley, wait for him? And then he called fire since then. And now the question seems like, wow, did we really ask that? So he's got, check out his last 25 games. He's been hot since the 3rd week of the season, but his last 25 games, the Braves are 18-7 in his stretch. Riley's hit 373, 11 home runs, 6 doubles, 28 RBIs in his last 25 games. He got a 755 slugging, 1180 OPS in that span. And for the year, the guy's now got numbers like Freddie or close to it, 298 average, 375 OBP, 533 slugging, and a 908 OPS, 26 homers and 75 RBIs. Nobody's asking anymore to see the 3rd baseman for the future here.
No, and he made a great play the other day in Miami.
Looked like Troy Gloss over there, didn't he? Or not Troy Gloss, like Roland. Looked like Roland over there.
That's
with that play with
for me. That's hard for me to hear. You know, Troy Gloss is great player. To be comped with him is pretty accurate and a compliment. Scott Rowland probably needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
He's phenomenal.
Fundamentally sound.
I vote for him in the Hall of Fame.
You know what I mean? So, you know, let's Riley's been great and a
great arm though. Riley's got a great arm.
I think he's obviously in a perfect spot when you talk about being surrounded by who he's surrounded with. You know, to just kind of, you're talking about Ozzie fly under the radar. Riley, he's in that spot too. You know, it's not the man. You know, you're not hoping. Guys a lot of times have those kind of stats and are in the 2nd hole or in the 3 hole. He doesn't have to be there. So it's a good spot for him.
And we're talking about Dansby. Nothing has astounded me more than the strikeout total going down, because he was 3rd in the league in strikeouts for like 100 games. And he was only behind Baez and Castellanos or Winker. Castellanos is the last strikeouts, right? One of those 2. So, I mean, he was only behind a couple of home run hitters, but they have gone down dramatically with the adjustments he's made recently. He hit 247 with a 747 OPS and 113 strikeouts in the first 100 games. And that's his and the team's 100, because he's played every game this year.
Yeah.
Okay. He, in 21 games since then, since July 27th, Dansby has hit 376, 7 homers, 25 ribbies, 1,084 OPS. He's only struck out 10 times in 92 plate appearances in that 21 game stretch. And in the last 9 games, he's got 4 homers, 13 ribbies, 2 strikeouts. He went 7 games without striking out.
That's awesome.
That's a nice midseason adjustment, huh?
Yeah. You got to give a lot of credit to, you know, Sites and the guys and, you know, that work. And that's a good thing with, you know, another thing when Soler and you get Jock Peterson, guys like that, and then Duvall having the success he's had in Atlanta. You got to give Seitz a lot of that credit, because I guarantee you he's down there fighting to pick up guys like those guys that maybe they strike out, they swing big, and it's like, hey, my thing is cutting down swings. That is my thing. So give me a chance with these guys with this talent that they got, and let's see what happens. And you gotta buy in, and you gotta give it some time. So great to see, Dansby, whoever he's working with, and whatever's clicking.
Yeah.
Putting in that effort. It's working.
And we talked about Freddie a little bit. I don't know what else can be said about the guy, but he hit 190, he hit 195, 733 OPS in his first 31 games. Since then, he's hit 337, 424 OBP, 982 OPS in 89 games, 20 homers. But more recently, last 5 games, the dude is 13 for 21 with 3 homers. He's hit 619. 619 in that stretch, including the game with the cycle. By the 6th inning, he hits for the cycle. And he's only the second player in franchise history. That's like 150 years to hit for 2 cycles. The first one to do it since 1900, to hit for the cycle twice. Hank Aaron and Chipper Jones never hit for the cycle. I know it's kind of a random thing, because, I'm not saying he's a better player than them, but you got to be good, man. You got to have some power, and you got to have some speed to be able to hit for the cycle.
Yeah, I have a cycle in my bag, and
there you go.
I had lots of opportunities for them with just a single to go, and didn't get it. But I got one, and it is random. But yes, you're right. The triple is obviously, that's a hard one. He ended on the homer.
Ended on the homer in the 6th inning,
knowing I'm a homer away from the cycle.
Snit said he's good enough. He could go up there and hit the home run if he knew he needed it to get it.
That's Freddie's. I don't know what the numbers all project, career when he's only 31. But I mean, this day and age, he's what a Hall of Famer looks like in the middle of his prime. And so it's cool to watch, and it's fun to watch him from my perspective, because I know how tight him and Chipper are. And that you just feel Freddie wants to exceed whatever Chipper has done in his career. So he got the MVP. He's pretty much only got to win a World Series, which is not easy. But everything else he's doing, he's only gotten more selective, which that was Chipper's one thing on him 5-6 years ago. Hey, take your walks, you swing at everything. Well, Freddie now leads the team, and he's up there in the league lead in walks every year. I mean, he's doing everything that Chipper did as a hitter. They have the same, they're the same dude. They have
average OBP and slugging are really similar, like 300, 400, 500.
Yeah, very similar. And in the fact that, that's kind of who Freddie's looked up to, and he was kind of chasing a little. You can feel it, when you're around him.
And he was his mentor, man. He's taught him so much.
Kind of amazing to have that goal and to be reaching it. We're watching that. It's
funny.
Nuts.
The only Chipper would point out probably that he never struck out 100 times in a year. The game's changed a lot, obviously.
I know.
But Chipper told him when he was hitting like 230, and and having terrible luck, hitting the balls hard, right? Chipper said, "Hey, I had a season where I hit 240," and Freddie was like, "I appreciated that coming from him, but I don't want to hit 240 with 30 home runs." And we're like thinking, "Well, you might have to accept it." And look at him now; he's at 301, man. Dude's phenomenal. I know you got to go. One thing, he was still hitting 224 with a 784 after 58 games. Freddie was, right? The 62 games beginning June 10th, 62 games, which was the entire season last year, by the way, 60-game season. He's hit 372 with 1,044 OPS. Team is 36 and 26 in those games. I mean, he's picked up so much slack with Acuna out and put the team basically on his back, but had plenty of help with Riley and Swanson, which is what you need when teams can't just focus on Freddie all the time.
But we talked about it the last time I was on, is even if he's hitting 220, he's in there, and he's in the spot that's Freddie Freeman's spot. Freddie's sitting in his chair. That's Freddie's chair. And as long as he's in that chair, everyone else sits in their own chairs, and they can go and be the extra guy, and it doesn't matter. But you add in the production with that. That's when you let everyone. That's why I was talking about Riley being in a spot where on most teams, when you're hitting that well, you're the man. When Ozzy's hitting that well, he's the man. When Dansby's hitting, these guys don't have to hit third. We already know who's hitting third or whatever, second.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Back to
that's
third
what's
now.
so cool about having a guy like that. And what's great about having a deep lineup with a guy like that anchoring it.
Yeah, I was going to, yeah, 10 weeks. He's raised his average from 224 to 301, his OPS from 784 to 919, 10 weeks. I was going to ask you about that real quick. The fact that he plays every day, if he's not hurt, and it's like he was sick the other day with the upper respiratory thing, the 5-game stretches began after he got healthy again. But he's a guy that plays every day. Just before you go, how important is the fact? It seems to me that it's rubbed off on the other guys, because if you look at the infield, everybody plays every day. Dansby used to miss a lot of time, with nagging stuff. These guys are playing every day, and I don't think it's a fluke. They see Freddie plays every day, and I think they want to play every day too. These guys are playing every day, whereas a lot of teams, Freddie and Riley, of the 10 guys that are OPS in 900 or above in the NL, Freddie and Riley have played 120 games apiece. Nobody else has played over 110 of the 900 OPSs. That's important, right?
I can't stress enough how hard that is to do for people that just are casual fans and watch the games. I mean, you think just because guys make a bunch of money that they should trot out every day. Yes, that's fine. But to go out and be on every day and to be performing every day and to lead and have fun and it be just a joy to do. Yeah, it's not easy. And we've been fortunate as Braves fans to see a lot of guys go out and make it look pretty easy. Yeah, and it's not. And those numbers and what you just read out, those other guys, shows you that it's not common. It isn't at all. I played on 8 teams around a lot of pretty good players, and there's not a lot of guys that can go be that good every day, day in and day out. And it absolutely rubs off. Absolutely. Those guys are watching their leader, the best player on the team doing it. It's really hard to be like, I'm going to take a day. Yeah. When that guy's out there every day, not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, we're facing DeGrom today. I'm a little sore, in the side or whatever. I mean, these guys are playing every day. They're not doing that. They're not getting the DeGrom flu or whatever,
No, it's yeah. No, it's 100%. So it's been cool. I can't wait to see what happens. And they got some ground to continue to add to with this Baltimore series coming up, and a couple days off in a row, and then that's in a weird August. They get like three days off in a week, I guess. Yeah. So it's been fun. But
the Padres, somebody, the second place team in the Central or the East could end up catching the Padres, especially if Tatis goes on the IL again at any point. But the Padres are slipping a little bit. They're not much that far ahead now, but in the wild card thing. But the Braves got a chance to put a little more cushion on the second place team in the East coming up with Baltimore. And they're in a good spot. I bet they wish the postseason would start tomorrow, the way they're clicking right now. Yeah. And you're going to get Ian Anderson. You're going to get Ian Anderson back soon too. And you're going to add Rosario to this lineup somewhere. That's a pretty good addition of that. Those are pretty good additions to make in August when there's no trades anymore. No waiver deadlines. Trades.
We got a long, 5 weeks here. Yeah. So it isn't by any means over, but they're in a phenomenal spot.
All right. Hey, we really appreciate get another visit from Kelly while our man Eric is tending to the third youngin. But we're going to call Eric back into duties next week. He's had daddy duties for about 2 or 3 weeks now. He's probably ready to get back on here.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Thanks, Kelly.
All
right. 7:55 is real, and we are out. Sorry to let you drag over there a little bit, man.